I'm joined by my colleague Benjamin Leshoro, who is covering the SAFA elections this evening. Benjamin, I mean, there's always been, or there has been, a lead up to these SAFA elections. We heard everyone speaking. Today was the day, and obviously there's always drama when it comes to these SAFA elections. What did you make of the elections today?
I think largely the outcome was an outcome that a lot of people should have expected. Danny Jordaan has done this twice, or had done this twice already in 2014 and 2018. So he knew exactly how, he had the know-how of winning this election. I think leading up to the election itself on the day, you might have criticized his methods, but he basically didn't care. He knew how things are done, and you could say experience for him was the big factor here, and that's how he did it. And on the day itself, drama throughout the day, basically with the Ria Ledwaba supporters earlier today, chanting, singing, but the big one was the hurling of insults. It's really things that you couldn't put on television that were being said there about him, and in full view. It's not like people who were saying things were hiding themselves. So it was, I suppose, disappointing for a lot of those who were there. It was all the supporters that were there who were singing and chanting were those of Ria Ledwaba today. There was no supporter, at least the ones we saw, the ones we know, who came out, of Mohlabeng or of Danny Jordaan. But that's just the thing to me. The people who were rooting for those people are not the people who were going to vote. Right? Yeah. The people who were going to vote, they knew who they were going to vote for from the beginning. And I suppose that's the reason it was such a comfortable victory for Danny Jordaan. I mean, it's a landslide, as you say.
186 votes. I mean, I was also asking myself, he's not even thinking about doing any media interviews leading up to the SAFA election. So you are right when you're saying he actually didn't care. Perhaps he knew that he's going to win today. But, I mean, someone that was very confident, Ria Ledwaba, we had her on Wednesday, and she was just saying that, listen, I am confident that I have support. But what do you think she didn't do right?
I think one could say, with all respect to Ria Ledwaba, she was naive going into the election because perhaps she misconstrued public support and social media support for what was needed on the day. That was never what's going to help her. She built her entire campaign on public sentiment and we want change, we want Ria Ledwaba, all of that. But you could say that it was misleading for her camp, for her campaign, and it collapsed spectacularly because the reason you could say Danny Jordaan was not even trying to go to the media, try to garner support out there is because he knew that it really doesn't matter much, and he knew that he's got a strong grip at the regions, and it showed on the ballots what happened. And Ria Ledwaba, when she was here on Wednesday, she said she couldn't, obviously because of the time constraints, she couldn't go out there to a lot of those regions. Some of them had to call them to say, listen, I cannot be there physically, but basically I am asking for your support. So I think it was the image created by public support on social media, which doesn't represent the people that are going to vote, unfortunately, for her.
So what's next for her? What's happening with her now that she's lost the elections?
Yeah, I put that question to her. Clearly, she's out of the NEC. Her only hope
Meaning out of SAFA completely?
Yes, the only hope she had of staying inside the South African Football Association was to win today. And that didn't happen. and she's also out of the NEC because she wasn't nominated to be in the NEC. Up until now, she was in the NEC. But what SAFA explained 2 weeks ago when she was announced as a candidate is that her home region, her host region, did not nominate her for a position on the NEC, which is not necessarily a prerequisite for the presidential candidacy.
Yeah.
Right? So now that she's out, I mean, you would imagine she'll be in the wilderness for some time. Perhaps she could come out of the wilderness, but she did mention that she's got other things that she's doing for South African football, especially at grassroots level, where she had actually built her entire campaign, that we need to get it right at grassroots level, at schools football, so that organically we can have a successful senior national team or senior national teams.
Okay, so we're running out of time, but quickly, now then, what's next for Danny Jordaan?
He did confirm that this is his last term. I think a lot of people would have wanted to know that. He said, listen, 2026 to 2030, I won't be here. But basically, he said the aim is to get to the World Cup in 2026. I mean, we've heard that a lot of the times. But in one of the clips that you played, he spoke about Vision 2022, and he slammed those who criticized him without reading it. I've got the document here, 48-page report. I'm going to go through it. But basically, what people care about, Dumi, is the success of our national teams. It does not matter what you've done. South Africans don't want to know the financial status of SAFA and all of that, which is also questionable, and it fluctuates. But what people care about, are we going to the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar? We're not.
We're not.
Hence, the sentiment is that Vision 2022 was a spectacular failure.
Well, Benjamin Leshoro, he is the one that covered that SAFA elections with Danny Jordaan in for his third term. What is he going to do this time around that is different from all the other years that he was at the top? 14 years. So now he's going to be at the helm for 14 years.